Now more than ever, it is important that employees and business leaders understand the role of mental health so they can become future-proof. Building a culture of mentally healthy practices from the ground up and using knowledge to unlock the potential of your workforce is extremely important. In this presentation, we will unpack mental health. At the end of this presentation, you will be able to define mental health, differentiate between mental health and mental illness, state different types of mental health issues and possible causes.
Mental health is about psychological, emotional, and social well-being. It's about how we think, how we feel, and more importantly, how we act. It means taking care of yourself so you can take care of others. At the end of the day, it's our responsibility to take care of each other, and it's all about taking care of our people. When we look at work-related stress, it could manifest in a lot of ways, and the whole key is prevention. First, what we're doing is mental health and burnout sessions with the entire staff. We're enforcing our people to take leave. We're making sure that they are rested so they can get back to work refreshed. We're conducting surveys throughout the company to make sure that we can improve. And then we're training our line managers to sort of figure out and recognize what burnout looks like.
It's all about how I cope with the world around me. It's about my emotions, my thoughts, how I respond to everything that is around me. With mental health, it helps me be the best mother, the best partner, the best colleague that I can if I'm looking after my mental health. It's important to me because it helps me thrive and not just survive in any situation. It helps me control my emotions and direct everything towards achieving the best outcome. If I'm not focusing on my mental health and looking after it as much as my physical health, I know that I just don't do as well in everything that I need to, and I know that I can let the world get on top of me at times.
Statistically speaking, you or someone you just talked to will likely experience a mental health issue at some point in your lifetime. Around 43 million adults experience mental illness every year. It's a very high number, which shows that mental health issues are common. Therefore, it's a critical topic to discuss.
What is mental health?
There are multiple ways of defining mental health, but the three core components of mental health are well-being, effective functioning of an individual, and effective functioning for a community. Culture plays a big role here. There are behaviors which are considered non-functional to some, but it is functional in your culture. Experiencing a mental health problem is often upsetting, confusing, and frightening, particularly at first. If a person becomes unwell, they may feel that it's a sign of weakness or that they are losing their mind. These fears are often reinforced by negative and usually unrealistic way that people experiencing mental health problems are shown on TV, films, and by the media. This, in turn, is likely to increase distress and sense of isolation. However, in reality, mental health problems are common human experience. Most people know someone who has experienced a mental health problem. They can happen to all kinds of people from all walks of life. And it's likely that when a person finds a combination of self-care, treatment, and support that works, things will get better.
What is the difference between mental illness and mental health?
Mental health and mental illness are two different things. Corey Keyes, a known psychologist, created a two-continua model of mental illness and health, which holds that both are related but have distinct dimensions. One continuum indicates the presence or absence of mental health. The other, the presence or absence of mental illness. For example, people with optimal mental health can also have mental illness, and people who have no mental illness can also have poor mental health. Just as someone who feels unwell may not have a serious illness, people may have poor mental health without a mental illness. We all have days where we feel a bit down, stressed out, or overwhelmed by something that's happening in our life. An important part of good mental health is the ability to look at problems or concerns realistically. Good mental health isn't about feeling happy and confident 100% of time and ignoring any problems. It's about living and coping well despite those problems. Just as it's possible to have poor mental health and no mental illness, it's entirely possible to have good mental health even with a diagnosis of a mental illness. That's because mental illness, like other health problems, are often episodic, meaning there are periods of poor health and periods of positive health.
Mental health to me means leaving work every single day with a sense of accomplishment of what I've achieved so far. And we tend to forget that it's very important to maintain a balance between our emotional, social, and mental well-being.
To me, personally, mental health is how you perceive things and then how you react because of your state of mind. So like if I'm like happy and then like joyful, regardless of how tough times get, you need to be in a calm manner to actually like navigate it and then like come out with the best outcome that you can. That's where the mental health plays a huge role in our lives.
Let's take some time to see if you have grasped the concept of mental health. I will present some questions to you. Take 10 seconds to see if you know the answers. What are the 3 components of mental health? So, mental health components are these 3 things: well-being, functioning individuals in society, and functioning for a community. And also remember, culture plays a big role in mental health determinations. In each culture, there are differences in what is considered mentally healthy. What are some common types of mental health issues?
Anxiety feels different for everyone. We all experience anxiety from time to time. Some of us might experience some of the physical and mental effects for short periods of time. However, for others, these feelings of anxiety are more than just passing worries or a stressful day at work. Their anxiety may not go away for many weeks, months, or even years. It can worsen over time, sometimes becoming too severe that it interferes with their daily life. Stress is a normal human reaction that happens to everyone. In fact, the human body is designed to experience stress and react to it. When a person has a long-term chronic stress, continued activation of the stress response causes wear and tear on the body. Physical, emotional, and behavioral symptoms develop. A panic attack is a sudden episode of intense fear that triggers severe physical reaction when there is no real danger or apparent cause. Low mood is normal and transient. Many people can experience low mood from time to time. Depression, however, lasts longer, has a profound impact on a person's ability to function in everyday life. Abusing some types of substance, such as drug, alcohol, these can start as a way to escape unpleasant reality, but it can quickly make someone's life worse. Besides not feeling well, different drugs can affect the brain and body in many different ways. It is estimated that post-traumatic stress disorder affects 1 in every 3 people who have experienced a traumatic event.
What are the causes of mental health issues?
There are many reasons why somebody may face mental health problems. The biopsychosocial model is a fancy term that psychologists will use to describe the main causes of mental health problems, but it is much simpler than it sounds. First, there are aspects of biology that influence health. These might include things like brain changes, genetics, or functioning of major body organs, such as liver, the kidneys, or even the motor system. For example, let's say someone had an accident that leaves them with reduced movement in one of their arms. This biological change might influence how they feel about themselves, which could lead to depression or anxiety in certain situations. The second part examines psychological components, things like thoughts, emotions, or behaviors. A person might go through many different psychological changes. Someone might experience decreased self-esteem, fear of judgment, or feel inadequate in their life or job. These changes in thoughts might lead to changes in behaviors like avoiding certain situations, staying at home, or even quitting a job. The social component examines social factors that might influence the health of an individual. Things like our interactions with others, our culture, or our economical status. If a person has recently experienced a divorce, that major change may place them at risk of stress and illness. Such life events may predispose an individual to developing mental health problems.
So mental health is healthy and to be healthy inside out. It affects me, my family, my colleagues at work, trying to communicate at home or even at work positively, my mind is healthy, my body will be healthy.
Mental health for me is a mix, a balance between your emotional state, your psychological situation at this stage, your social well-being, the way you handle stress at work, responsibilities at home. It's a work balance between social and my presence at work, working with my colleagues, being a good father at home, being a good husband at home. That balance needs to be maintained.
Now, let's verify that you understand the types and the causes of mental health issues. What are the 6 types of mental health issues? The 6 types of mental health issues are anxiety, stress, panic attacks, depression, substance abuse, and PTSD, otherwise known as post-traumatic stress disorder. What are some causes of mental illness? First, for mental illnesses, we have biology. These are the physiological changes that have an impact on how a person interacts with their thoughts, with others, and their environment. Psychological factors also include thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Each of these may have an effect on someone's mental health. These can be for things such as self-esteem issues, fears or anxieties, or even fears of inadequacy or inferiority. Social. This is the way that we are perceived by others and how we perceive the actions of others that have an effect on our mental condition. For instance, economic status or problematic stances within a culture can elicit changes to an individual's well-being. What are mental health effects on the workplace?
Poor mental health can negatively affect employees' performance and productivity. As mental health problems can undermine the employee's confidence, this can lead to lower self-esteem and an inability to work as effectively, leading to lower productivity. Staff who suffer in the workplace may be distracted with attempting to resolve what they are going through rather than carrying out their roles effectively. Engagement. As emotional commitment means engaged employees actually care about their work and their company, people who are facing mental health problems generally don't keep solid goals to their work, other than struggling and challenging themselves to simply show up. This has an impact on employers and businesses directly through increased absenteeism. Communication with colleagues. As many mental health problems affect the way someone talks and what they might say, for people with mental health disorders, how they say something may be quite different than someone not living with a mental illness. People facing mental health problems will likely find it more difficult to get their ideas across to their colleagues. Physical capability and daily functioning. As people living with a serious mental illness are at a higher risk of experiencing a wide range of chronic physical conditions. Depression alone can cause chronic fatigue, insomnia, and increased sensitivity to aches and pains due to abnormal function of the neurotransmitters in the brain.
What are some barriers for those seeking help for low mental health?
Oftentimes, people avoid or delay seeking treatment due to concerns about being treated differently or fears of losing their jobs and livelihood. That's because stigma or prejudice and discrimination against people with mental illness is still very much a problem. More than half of people facing mental health problems don't receive help for what they are going through because of stigma. According to the American Psychological Association, stigma is a set of prejudiced attitudes and values which may lead to discriminatory behaviors. In the context of mental health, there are many types of stigma. Here are the most significant types. First, self-stigma is where people with mental health problems believe what is being said about their conditions and agree with the viewpoints. They internalize shame. Self-stigma can result in delays or the avoidance of seeking help for their condition due to the fear of being rejected or humiliated. Social stigma. This includes the negative attitudes and discriminatory behaviors that society or individuals hold towards those with mental health problems. A belief that all people with mental health problems are violent and dangerous could be an example of social stigma. Institutional stigma. This is more systematic, involving a lack of policies and awareness in organizations that is usually unintentional, which limits opportunities for people with mental health problems. Stigma not only directly affects individuals with mental illness, but also the loved ones who support them, often including their family members. How can we reduce stigma? First, awareness. It is what we are doing here today. If people know more about what mental health is about, they will understand its significance and they will look at it as a valid health concern. Second, programs and policies. When there are policies in place that protects people facing mental health problems, that will encourage them to step forward and ask for help when they actually need it. Third, social support. Having someone to talk to, a family member or even a friend, will help significantly in looking at the problems realistically.
Mental health to me is to be mentally feeling good and physically feeling also good to enable me to serve better community, family, and friends.
Mental health is probably the way that you view things, the way you remain positive and hopeful in situations. So mental health is probably one of the most important ways that people cope with stress in their life. It's important because to remain healthy, you need to have a positive state of mind, and that affects your body. It affects the way you focus at work. It's the way you deal with family and friends. So I think it's very important. It's all-encompassing.
What are the 3 types of stigma that could have a negative effect on mental illness or the ability for a person to deal with poor mental health? The 3 types of stigma are, first, self-stigma, how a person believes they are received or perceived by others. Number 2, social stigma, or the discrimination based on social standing or prejudices of others as it affects that person. Number 3, institutional stigma, or policies that negatively affect those experiencing mental illness that intentionally or unintentionally deter mental health advocacy and awareness. What are the signs of low mental health in the workplace?
Since we now know that mental health is equally important to physical health, let's talk about the signs we should look for in ourselves, subordinates, friends, or a loved one. General warning signs of a mental health problem may include the following: losing interest in the activities that were previously enjoyed, increased anxiety levels, feeling exhausted and restless, self-isolation or social withdrawal, changes in appetite and weight, changes in perception such as hearing or seeing things that others don't, self-harming behavior, signs of cuts or bruising in uncommon areas of the body, experiencing panic attacks, or feelings of suicide. At work, we may see low morale, disorganization in completing work tasks, general inability to communicate with others, increased accidents in the workplace, frequent complaints or evidence of fatigue that is unexplained, decreased interest or involvement in meetings and teamwork, inability to concentrate, feeling restless, short attention span, be easily distracted, or have a hard time remembering verbal directions. Not enough energy to spend a full day at work.
What can you do for improved mental health?
Taking care of mental health is everyone's responsibility. It is important to be aware of yourself, loved ones, teammates, and your colleagues at work. Talk about your feelings. Do not keep them inside. Maintain your physical health, keep active, and eat well. Keep in touch. Make sure that you have a social network that you can refer to. Take a break. When things get overwhelming, pause and take a breath. Accept who you are. There is no good or bad personality. We are all unique. Educate yourself. Knowing more is always a good thing. Ask for help when you need it. Remember, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Be empathic. Try to be understanding of others who are experiencing difficulties. Always ask, are you okay?
Mental health means a lot to me. It means a peace. It creates a value in you. It enhances your ability to think clear and focus more. It's really important. Without that, you'd not be able to concentrate, or focus, or do anything. You can't have a clear idea of what you're doing, what you're thinking. You can't achieve your potential. You get to know more about yourself. It's all about being very sound and being mentally healthy.
For me, mental health is our emotional and social behavior. How we are reacting to situations, how we are handling people, how we are behaving to the different kind of occasions. All those things are related to our mental health. It is very important. It is directly connected to our attitude, and this will help us to maintain a good family relationship and have a good professional relationship.
Organizational leaders can create the conditions to support those who are having hard times while working. Mental health and those suffering from mental illness require empathy and compassion. This is important to remember because it ensures that a company provides support for those critical to their success. Additionally, organizations must develop a proactive approach to mental health, providing awareness training and open communication about how to get the support they need. In short, it is the job of all employees to create a culture where mental health can be improved and where support is available.
Mental health is as important as your physical health. If you are feeling mentally unwell, it's just the same as feeling that you are physically sick.
In this presentation, we have uncovered important information about mental health, such as defining mental health, knowing the difference between mental health and mental illness, common mental health issues and causes, mental health impacts in the workplace, stigmas as barriers to mental health support, signs of low mental health, and ways to improve mental health. On behalf of the Beacon Red staff, thank you for joining this mental health awareness presentation. If you have any questions or feedback, please do not hesitate to contact us.